I think most of us in the crypto space will be seeing some of the craziest gains we have ever seen in the next upcoming period here as the bull market progresses and a crazy altcoin season ignites itself. Now, as of this point, not that many people are wondering what the next big altcoin is going to be. They're mostly worried about, are we going to dump further? But I always tell you this, as long as you've got a little bit of a breath, you don't have to worry too much about are we dumping today or are we pumping today. If you just keep thinking about setting yourself up for the next few months, I think you'll be golden. And to stay in the spirit of that, if you right now are focusing hard on just getting yourself the right altcoins for, the next year, perhaps slightly more than a year, yes, there might be some very tumultuous, annoying times in the midst, but ultimately you'll be good. And I always ask people, if you do not think that Bitcoin is ever going to go higher than it is today, short it. But if you do believe that Bitcoin will eventually go higher, then altcoins, I do believe, will be able to make you more profit. That's because they are inherently more volatile and because, as has been proven, in bull markets, they just go crazier. So I will say again that the altcoin season, it changes slightly every single time. There's just one underlying consensus though, which is it is more beneficial to spread your risk amongst different sectors. On the opposite side, it is very worth it to specialize on just one because nobody knows exactly what will happen. Let me elaborate. I always say I think it's wise to really be a specialist of a certain sector that you think will do well. However, I will add that I believe it's better to diversify into different sectors first until the bull market gets a bit crazier. And at that point, it is more worth it to specialize. Because before, right, in the Q1 of this year, AI coins were really hot, up and coming. A lot of the Ethereum stuff was doing good, but even Bitcoin and Bitcoin ecosystem was popping off. The expectation was that RWA was going to be the next big thing because of BlackRock's tokenization of everything claims, and it did do good for a while. But right now, obviously, since it's not an altcoin season, it's Bitcoin finding its footing again. Since now almost nothing is doing good, it's harder to imagine, since again, it's months and months back, what the next big season is going to be. The expectation is still that AI, real-world assets and stuff are going to be popping, but you kind of never know before it's there. One thing we do know, though, is if we take a look at the top cryptos, most of the ones that you've got in the top of the top here, there will be some who are outliers to this rule, but most of them that you see here will go back to their old all-time high, and I believe at least a 3-time multiplier from that. So if you're thinking, hey, how high can this crypto go? Think about it. Bitcoin, for example, is 17% from its all-time high. Ethereum is about 50% down, so forward and so on. So theoretically speaking, if all of these were to go to their all-time high, and then a 3, 4, and the lower you go, the higher the multiplier will probably be, then it does make sense to just really stack up like a little bit of a maniac here at these prices, because I think it's very hard to miss. And the differentiating factor being the higher up on the rank you go, usually the quicker they get to these higher prices, and the lower you go, the longer it might take, or the more of a variance there'll be among them. For example, it is pretty likely that a Solana, XRP, perhaps a Dogecoin all get towards the top of the top at kind of a similar pace. Whereas a coin all the way towards the bottom might hit it today, but also might hit it at the end of this season more, where a lot of the smaller ones also start performing like crazy. And again, not every single one of these will hit it. I'm just saying that's the general rule of thumb with many of the top coins. Even if they were once more hyped up than right now, in a real bull market altcoin season, a lot of those factors completely change over. I think every single time I witnessed the bull market, I thought it would be different, and then it did not turn out to be different. In a sense that you think, oh, but this coin was really hot last season. It's not going to be this time, right? And then it outperforms everything. Now, I will say that I'm personally a big fan of keeping things realistic because the way I see my crypto investments is I want to 10x every cycle. I'm not looking to 1000x every cycle. Why is that? Because even though it's possible, let's say you do it, right? Let's say you get 1000x. What is the probability of you doing that with all your money? It's not that hard to find one coin that does 1000x, but it's quite hard to find that with size. Meaning, if I buy 50 meme coins right now and I put $1 into all of them, there's a possibility that one's going to 1000x. If I do it a month in a row, and I've spent $1,500 doing that or whatever, yeah, there's a pretty good chance one of them will 1,000x. Problem is, first of all, I lost 500 bucks because 1,000x from, a dollar ain't that nice. And second of all, it was only a dollar that I put in. And so the point there being, if you really want the crazy results, there also comes a higher risk. And at some point, that's just really not worth it anymore. And on the opposite side, most coins don't have enough liquidity for you to cash out everything you want. Unless, again, you're really, really lucky and you hit one of the jackpots at the top of the top. Hard, but possible. Point being, though, so if we're talking about, for example, XRP to 100 bucks, is it possible? Yeah. Am I waiting for it? No. Why? First of all, because I don't need it. If XRP does a 10x from here at $6, I personally think it's still kind of low. I think this time around, XRP is going to do about a 20x or so this run. Again, that's my honest own expectation. I'm not your financial advisor. It's just my thoughts based on the history of XRP. But that's still about an 8x away from 100 bucks. Now, does that mean I will now not buy it because it's not going to do the 100x that I wanted or the 200x? No. Again, if you are looking for a coin that will do such a crazy multiplier, I'm talking about 1,000x or so, stay away from some of the coins at the top because even though they can do a 100x or even more, it will probably not be in one season. It's extremely hard to fathom a world where it does so well within a few months that it goes from 33 billion to 3.3 trillion, and then about double that again, all right? 66, let's call it, let's say $50 trillion. I'm not sure why I said 50. $5 trillion. Again, looking at Bitcoin, it's only 4 times as big as Bitcoin. It's possible, but I do think there's more time than it needs for the crypto market to get this amount of money in it. And what I mean with that is, I believe the crypto market will at least 1,000x from where it is today. But I don't think that's going to happen over the next couple of years. We've talked before about a $50 million, $20 million Bitcoin. I see it happening. Maybe not today. Maybe not in the next 10, 15 years. But I see it happening. And so perhaps my point there being, don't be so nearsighted. Think about the future. And think about, let's say you get 100x this time around. Let's say you're able to turn your $10,000 into $1 million. You don't have to turn everything into 20 million straight away. Because think about it. Now you've got your million and you've got a couple more years to build for the next crazy bull market. If you're smart with cashing out, now perhaps you've got yourself a significant amount more the moment the next bull run goes. And now you're able to turn that at 1 million or even the 100,000 if you started with $1,000 and turn it into, let's say you get a 10x again, you're able to turn it into $1 million or into 10 million if you started with $1 million. And that would then have been a span of what, 6 years? Or you take it 9 years, right? You start with $1,000, you turn it into $10,000, turn it into $100,000. A lot of people would be really satisfied with that over a 10-year period. Just put $1,000 of savings and turn it into $100,000 over the next 10 years. I think a lot of crypto people have just lost their minds a little bit, think they have to make all the crazy gains tomorrow. But realistically speaking, you have to also acknowledge the amount of risk that comes with making so much money. And part of it is the risk of you cashing out too early. I've noted before, right, how I turned a little bit of money into 600 or 800 times more than it was at some point. And I've done this many times throughout my time. For the most part, though, it's not significant sums of money. But I've also bought meme coins that have gone more than, I think, maybe even a 50,000x or so, just some crazy numbers, where you only make maybe $2,000 at the end. But the thing I stated before was if, let's say, I started out with $10,000, right, as an example, went down to, let's say, $2,000, and then from there, it does a 1,000x, so turning $2,000 into 2 million, right? This is a very realistic scenario. Many of you guys do not know, but in a bear market, things go down 99.9%. In a bull market, if it was only 2 million or whatever, and all of a sudden it gets really trendy and turns into a $2 billion project, which again, many have done, it's a whopping 1,000x. That means the 2,000 turns to 2 million, but you understand how difficult it is to see, if you see it, to see your $2,000 turn to 4,000, turn to 60,000. Still hold on, be like, you know what? I think it's going to be worth more. Then it turns into, 150,000. Now it turns to 300,000. Now it's a house. And now you're thinking, ooh, damn, I had $2,000 in it, but now it's worth a house. Should I cash it out? Yada, 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 yada. And so with one of my investments, let's say it was at an 800x or so from the last time I saw it, and I didn't cash everything out. If you know which coin I'm talking about, let me know down below. And now it's, I think, back at a 200x. So still amazing, but the difference between a 200x your money and 800 times your money is pretty significant. Oh, it's only 4 times as high. Sure, but that's a lot of money. But there comes the point of, okay, I could have thought, because I did actually cash a lot out at 55x my money, meaning you turned, let's say you had $1, now it turns to 55. I cashed out a lot there because I found my money again. But afterwards, I noticed a couple weeks after that it turned to 200 times my money. But then a couple weeks after, it's 800 times. I was thinking maybe it's going to turn into 2,000 times my money, so I'm going to hold on, right? Because every time I decided to sell, it went even higher. But then the market switched around, and then you lose a lot. Point being of my little side story here, it's not that easy to turn your coins into 1,000x. Again, 50x potential. Every single coin has 50x potential. Just, again, talking about this crypto bull market or the next one, I mean, almost any altcoin in the top has potential for 50x over 2 bull markets, if you're not talking about like a top 5 coin. Even those can do good, though. But most coins, if you just scroll down a little bit, all of these can still do a 50x, and I really wouldn't be that crazy. And again, getting back to this one, I mean, you can talk about a $100 XRP, but most people would have sold at like $6. Let's really be real for a second. Most people do not know how hard it is to see your money go from now being worth $1,000, being at 10,000, then being 100,000, then perhaps being 500,000, and still thinking, you know what, I'm going to turn it into 10 times that. Because again, there's also the risk, like I've had before, that the market turns around and you lose everything, and all of a sudden you're back to where you were years ago. But if you're asking me, yes, many coins can do good. And yes, I'm preparing right now by buying myself some things. For the most part, guys, I'm being honest with you. I'm still just waiting for Bitcoin to pick up the pace, start trending back towards those all-time highs, where altcoins start going crazy again. And that means I'm not actively buying altcoins like crazy. There's actually some altcoins that I've sold to just stable up a little bit more earlier. For the most part, because the market hasn't shown crazy bullish potential. What I've learned throughout the last couple of years is 2 things. Many, but here's 2 points. One is do not invest everything too early. You don't know if you're going to have another crazy crash, and you don't know if this is going to be the time where it pops off. So it just means always keep some money on the side. And the second is I actually prefer it more to be more of a momentum investor than a value investor, meaning momentum investor, you look at whatever's trendy, whatever's doing well, and you go hard because you expect it to continue. Whereas value, you're looking at all the charts, looking at everything, thinking, you know what? This is really undervalued, even though nobody is paying attention, and you're trying to catch either that 1,000x or just the crazy next pump. The reason I'm not really a big fan of that is because I can't really find the best of the indicators that showcase the undervalued nature of it, because so many crypto coins out there are so extremely useful, so extremely good, so properly backed, and they do shit that you have to buy so many and perhaps have to wait so many months that it's more difficult than just looking for whatever's hot and expecting it to go hotter. But again, I just wanted to let go of some thoughts of mine in a little video for you guys. If you thought it was stupid, yeah, too bad. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. Anyway, guys, as the bull market progresses, I'll be talking about a lot of specific coins that I'm really in love with or that I think will do well. And again, I don't have to tell you, because I think if you've been watching this channel, you know, most of the coins that we're going to talk about will do really well. I'm 99.9% sure. I'm not your financial advisor, but I know I will do well this bull market, so I know you guys will do well, as long as you do not focus on only one thing. If you do, there's a small chance that you actually fail. But again, it's a bull market, and it's really hard to not do well. But yeah, that's about it.